Hello and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And as you can see, my big old cheese smile, I'm still celebrating from yesterday's Xbox/Bethesda Direct. It hit like a freight train. All the check marks I could possibly imagine were checked, and we even got a bonus with Square Enix showing up, and they may, that's maybe potentially an Xbox acquisition, but that's for another time. We don't know, but it was really weird that it was there for an Xbox, first party direct, and Square Enix showed up. So very happy about that. Visions of Mana looked phenomenal. Obviously, I'm an OG, so I remember the Secret of Mana on not obviously the N64, the Super Nintendo. I mean, it has a legacy, and it's the first Mana game to come to Xbox. I think that's a really big deal. It looks really good. One of the questions that a lot of people are asking, is it Game Pass? I'm kind of banking that it is. That's just, they've had Square Enix games drop in Game Pass day and date. Outriders is one of them for sure. They've had a few others. So I would imagine that could be a possibility because, well, Square kind of needs money because they are in bed with Sony, and Sony's costing them an arm and a leg by locking content behind a paywall that nobody wants to pay because PlayStation gamers just don't really buy games. Sorry, that's a fact, folks. Infinite Umbra is going to be joining us momentarily, which is great because we're going to have a full panel for the next 2 hours. We're going to be talking about everything that happened yesterday, some controversy within the community. The nitpicking has begun. Some knuckleheads in the gaming media did what they normally do, and they just exposed themselves. Pause. And we will be breaking all of that down. But let's get into the introductions. Dreadpool, you were here first, brother. Good morning, man. First of all, how are you feeling? And hopefully you're not as tired as you were last week. And what did you have for breakfast, kind sir?
I got to tell you what, I worked my normal 40 hours. I'm feeling great. I actually had some good sleep. So
Excellent.
that's a rarity for me, right? I had the classic cheddar cheese omelets.
Nice.
But I flipped it on its head a little bit. I put it in between 2 slices of bread, and I made it into a sandwich.
That sounds delicious.
That's really it, right? But yes, coffee, Black Rifle coffee, just black. Pretty good.
Wow, good on you, man.
No
I gotta have some. I got some non-dairy creamer in there with a half of a teaspoon because I don't do the sugar thing too much. With organic sugar,
I do the Italian sweet cream.
Okay, nice, very nice.
But again, this time was like, last week was fasting. This week is like, all right, let's try a little different.
Yeah.
Each step of the way, like I said, back from the dead, King, Lord Cognito, and a few others are doing the health stuff, the proper way. So I'm trying to, follow the footsteps. So anybody else watch these guys and use it as a influence.
Well, I mean, listen, I listen. It's health is wealth. Obviously, you want to keep yourself around. The longer you're around for you and your family, the better life you're going to have. Me personally, I had my 3-week weigh-in. Since I've been using the Supernatural VR software. It's obviously your coach. You have there's several coaches. That's quite a few coaches actually. I happen to be a big fan of Coach Leanne, and I've been doing her workouts for 3 weeks. I'm down 7 pounds. My 3-week weigh-in was I'm down to 210. I'm going to see if I can get to 200 and keep that 6-foot frame. And listen, like I said, the NYPD has to keep paying till the cows come home because I worked real hard for that pension. So I want to live a very long time.
See, now that's going to be my excuse to get the Quest 3.
It works so good, dude. It is freaking phenomenal. And okay, so there are a couple of this one is it's a subscription. You can pay monthly. I think it's like $8 or buy the whole thing for the year. I bought the year subscription. It's $99, but I have access to everything, and I use it 2 and 3 times a week. It's been phenomenal.
Nice.
But glad that you're trying to obviously maintain yourself. That's excellent. Crispy Bomb. I'm glad that you're here because Xbox showed up with a lot of big bags yesterday, and I think they dropped them. They dropped it like it was hot. I think they answered a lot of questions. We're going to get into some of the ridiculousness, some of the gaming media's stupidity, because it's out there in full force, honey, folks. It's just, I don't know. But good morning, Crispy. How you feeling?
It has been a wonderful, wonderful day yesterday and into today. Minds are melting. People don't understand Xbox exclusivity still. I don't know. I said it right around Christmas on one of the shows. Go buy an Xbox now while it's on sale, because you're going to start seeing games drop, and then they're going to go back to regular retail because they see the excitement. And I'll tell you right now, I mean, Boom doesn't do quite as much as I do, and I follow a lot of people that some people have distaste for, and most of the PlayStation fans, not stans, were pretty impressed. So we'll leave it there, and we're going to get into it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that there are. I mean, I have a lot of quotes from people. David Jaffe was over the moon on Indiana Jones. I think someone sent me a DM of him. And there's another gentleman who is, which I'll read his quote. He's a movie reviewer. He had some interesting things to say, and I think that when we get to that, there's going to be a major point as to this is why you do this. But Fuzzy Belvedere, good morning, kind sir. How are you feeling? Welcome, man. You'll get your hot takes on it. But did you get a chance to watch anything in 4K?
Oh yeah, definitely. That was one of the things before. I had to kind of rush the tail end of the show only because the boys had me schedule a firing range day out.
Ah,
So had fun at that as well. But man, loved what I saw. Came back home, watched it again, made sure it was in 4K, and I'm pretty happy with what I saw. But I'm pretty sure we'll get into it and all the shenanigans on social media. These blue check mark, man. Yeah, I don't know. Some of them
yeah,
just,
very disappointing.
but we'll definitely talk about it. But man, glad to be here with everyone. Thanks for showing up in the chat, everybody. Yeah, we're going to have a great show today. Let's do
Yes,
this.
yeah, absolutely. And last and no way least, Mr. ACDC, back in black himself. Hey, Web Dave, how you feeling, brother? What's new? Good morning.
Not much new. Not much new. I was did an interview last night with Shades of Purple. That was pretty cool.
Oh,
She's
nice.
pretty interesting, and I don't know why she wanted to interview me, but we did it anyway. So it ended up being a lot of fun, for sure. And yeah, it was a great show yesterday, man. That direct, spot on, and we have so much to talk about today. It's just where to begin. But
Yeah.
let's get it started, man. I'm ready.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's a lot to get in here. So I want to open up with Hellblade. Hellblade 2 once again was shown off probably for what, the third, fourth, maybe fifth time, right? We got it in 2019, got it in 2021, got another one. So maybe 5 times we've seen it, right? I think this is probably the final time that we're going to see anything from it because we don't need to see any more. Obviously it's running on Unreal Engine 5. Oh, here's Mr. Umbra. Hey, Umbra, what's going on, brother? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Boom. Good morning, fellas. Good morning, chat family. What's up with everybody? How are you all?
We're good, man. We're good. We're literally just going to open up with Hellblade, but of course, we're here and you just arrived, so I want to do the introductions. How you feeling? Is it snowing in Chi-Town? Because it's snowing here in New York, and we'll get your takes on the show and everything. But did you get a chance to watch it in full 4K?
I did, and it cost me because I watched that and overslept and missed my show yesterday.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah.
Worth it. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I mean, you see the name, the Infinite Circle. I'm guessing you have a good guess of what blew me away. But yeah, and I went back to watch it too, which got me more. But
Yeah, it did snow here, by the way, but it's calmed down now. But it snowed a bit here in Chicago. Yep. So it's still snowing for you out there?
Yeah, well, yeah. It's actually just started. It's supposed to snow until about 10 this evening. I think it's to get like maybe 3 to 4 inches here in New Rochelle. More in Jersey.
Oh, you like the snow though, don't you?
Oh, dude, I'm Mrs. Boomer, snow fanatic. Are you kidding me?
Boo.
Yeah, I know.
You'll be
My brother yells at me
snow
too.
ponies in the snow. That's what you're gonna be doing.
My brother Neo Mental actually curses at me when I start saying I love the snow. He goes, the next time it effing snows, you're gonna come to my driveway and you're gonna see. I'm like, yeah. I get it. I shovel my spot. I just don't shovel the driveway, and he still gives me shit. So it's fine.
I remember
that's
snow.
what brothers do, right?
Yeah, I remember snow. It snowed back in '85 down here.
Oh wow, 85.
85.
Yeah. We actually had 700 days since the last time it snowed up until the beginning of the week in New York. Like, are we freaking kidding me? Like, come on, stop it. But listen, folks, enough of that. Let's get into why everyone is here. We're here to celebrate, get excited, talk it up. Everyone has opinions. Everyone's opinions they're entitled to them. I may not agree with them. There's some people, that very prominent people in the community that walked away really not impressed, and that's fine. I don't agree with that because I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. I proudly stand by that number. I think they delivered for me as a gamer on everything, and they even got me interested in Aura, which I have no interest in RTS, and I just thought that the presentation and the details and the buildings and the way that they were describing the game, I was like, wow, I don't think I'm going to play this still, but I was stuck glued to the set and the TV, and I wanted to see what they had to say. That's how you know that they're hitting on all cylinders. But I do want to bring up Hellblade 2. Again, this is probably the 5th time I believe that we have seen the game. We have a confirmation date that was floating around out there of May 21st, 2024. That's in a couple of months. That is phenomenal. Some key information came out. Obviously, it's running on Unreal Engine 5. Every time we see this, looks better and better. It looks more visceral, more gritty, more violent. There is a massive story here. If you remember in the original, the character only had herself to depend on, right? And this time around, she is surrounded by other characters. Senua is going to actually have people that they can talk to. But see, this is what's interesting. Are they real? Well, I don't know, because obviously she suffers from psychosis, which is a real mental illness. So, again, we're going to see how the story plays out. But Senua obviously the first one was a coming of age story for her. And now we're going to learn more of what is happening in her world. I believe this is going to be a trilogy. Some key points out of this. It is as long as the original, which is about 8 hours, is what they said. They said a shorter, narrative-focused, story-driven experience, which I saw a lot of people cheering on because, like myself and Everborn Saga, I can't play 50-hour, 60-hour, 70-hour games. I don't have the time. But for me, a game like Hellblade 2, it tells you your standard play, your standard go through from start A to Z is 8 hours. See, that's not how I play. I can see myself easily putting 16, 17, maybe even 20 hours into it, because I'm going to want to find everything. I'm going to want to solve every puzzle. I'm going to go down past that are there, you can just blow right by. Maybe you miss an encounter, a boss, I don't know, but I will definitely put my time into the game. And if it's as good as I think it's going to be, I'll probably run through it a second time like I did with Hellblade 1. Interesting factoid, it's $50. It's a $50 experience. I guess when they were deciding the length of the title versus the worth of it, it's $50. I think that is a phenomenal price. We've seen other games released at $50. Just last year, Alan Wake 2 was $50 if you bought the standard edition. And that is what? Game of the Year. It won awards left, right, and center. So the $50 price tag should not scare you. Another interesting factoid that we learned from Andy Robinson, of course, of VGC, and he's the first one to talk about it. So, of course, I want to give credit where credit is due. It is digital only. This is not going to have a physical release. And you know what? There were some people out there booing this, calling for the gaming gods to strike down a vengeance. Ryan McCaffrey being one of them. I actually do have his particular quote because someone sent it to me, and I find it to be foolhardy at best, folks. It's a digital only game. Well, so was Alan Wake, and there wasn't an uproar or an outcry for this. Now, someone will say, "Hey, boom, just a second. It's available on multiple platforms." Well, Hellblade is going to be available on 2 platforms, Xbox and PC, minus PlayStation. Oh well, buy an Xbox. Let's get that right out of the way. If you are a PlayStation gamer and you're looking at the other side with envy, it's time to start up your $5,000 PC or go buy an Xbox. Shucks, that's life. You know, what are you gonna do? Umbra, I want to go to you first on this because you are our special guest. Let's talk about Hellblade 2. What'd you see? What you like? What you didn't like? Is a $50 price tag fair? Is 8 hours, an 8-hour story enough? Do you find the digital thing is boxing people out? Let's talk about it.
I guess to address the digital thing first, I'm all digital. I'm digital master race. So that's nothing
Okay.
to me, right? And that's where the industry is going. I think some are trying to hold on to it, and I get it. You know, I can't relate because I'm past that. It's like it's whatever to me now, but I get it. I don't think they're like, like what's the word I want to use? I don't think Xbox is necessarily cutting anybody out. I think it's just those who want to kind of yell against the wind, right? And kind of we're gonna hold on to physical. It's going away, guys. Y'all, you know this, right? You know what's gonna happen. You know, I get it, but it's going away at one point. And this right here is a part of that. And on the pricing, I would say, for the length of the game, which is about 8 hours or whatever or so, at $50, I think that's a steal. You get the glorious Unreal Engine 5. Yeah, you know, I had to talk about that. So, I mean, listen, it's going to be a great game. It's in line with what they've done before. So I will say that I did expect it to be a bit more lengthy. Like after we saw the original stuff with her fighting on the beach and that giant dude or whatever it was, you know, crawling out of the cave. I expected it to be a bit more engaging, like kind of open world. It felt like it would be, right? That's what it seemed like. But it is what it is. You know, that they're sticking to a specific styling with that when it comes to that world, and it's going to stick to, you know, a kind of semi-open world aspect, and then that's what it is. What it is. And now, if I had any say, I'd be like, listen, you all need to go all out, et cetera, et cetera. But this is them, and this is what they want to do. I will say too that possibly doing that right there would take many more years probably to do what they needed to do, if that is the case, in the bigger budget, or at least a bigger budget and more people to come on to handle that, right? So I get it. I think the pricing is solid, is fair. I would like for all pricing to go back down to 50 or more or less, honestly. But so I think that's fair. Visually, ridiculous. You're going to be hard pressed to find any game that looks as good as this outside of, let's say, Horizon, right? And I say and Forbidden West or whatever it is called now. So that right there, that I would say is the only competitor when it comes to like super high end visuals that really say, hey, this is next gen. I see Hellblade 2 here, and I'm like, yeah, this is definitely, I can say, yeah, this is next gen. You look at this and you look at part 1, it's night and day. Like, and part 1 looked really good at its time, right? So this right here is stunning right here. So I'm hyped for that alone. I will say, watching it didn't really give us, you know, I watched it with a big crew of the community. And it didn't really, I think all of us had the same kind of consensus where it didn't really wow us compared to the first times we saw it, right? Because it pretty much showed the same thing, albeit a bit more of the combat, I think, this time. Like with the thing, you know, the guy grabbing on her back and biting her and such. And so I've heard some people kind of complain about the combat. Well, the combat looked a little weird. Well, that's because they're doing it the same way they did the first game, where it's kind of this pre-planned kind of battle where you get into and it's a one-on-one kind of situation, and you have certain animations and things that happen. So that's really what that is. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I thought the combat in part 1 was fine. It wasn't genre defining or anything like that. And I will say I did expect them to go more expand on that to make it a bit more bigger in a sense here. But I know that they want to kind of keep it grounded when it comes to that, right? So I get it. I mean, and I say grounded, but then she's fighting these fantastical things, but that's a mind thing. So
yeah,
she's still grounded. She just, has her mental, issues or whatever that she's dealing with, her psychosis. So no, overall, I thought it was really good. Looks beautiful. I thought it was, the pacing was solid for how they showed the showcase and things like that. And I don't go too far, but yeah, I thought it was decent overall. But again, I wasn't blown away because I think more or less, had they skipped what we saw at the VGAs, I think this would have been more impressive to see now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually, Pong Sol, I believe, might have said that last night on PM and the PM. Which shout out to them. They were celebrating obviously the day for Xbox, but it was also episode 100.
Oh man, nice.
For PM and the PM, which is pretty cool.
I don't know how fun speculation. Our brother Mav stood there with Pong Sol for 100 episodes, but shout out to you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mav and Pong. Yeah. Good job, fellas.
Yeah, good stuff. Absolutely. Listen, folks, we got almost 700 people here. Before we bring in Dreadpool, get his hot take on this, I want to catch up on the super chats. Been quite a few of them. Simon Brandy drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, I expect more legacy characters in Indy. I want a flashback level with young Indy featuring River Phoenix. That would be dope. Could you imagine, Boom, Sean Connery also? That would be amazing, because obviously we didn't get to see his pops until a third one, which is actually one of my favorites of them all, because I love Sean Connery, but I just love that the third Indiana Jones. I mean, the first three are phenomenal, and that last two, not so much. But this,
boom. Let's hear your Sean Connery voice off of Indy then.
Oh, I don't think I can do that.
Come on, Boom.
I don't think I can do that. But listen, I don't want to get into Indy just yet, because obviously it was my gaming show. We have a lot to get into. I do want to keep with Hellblade, but shout out to you, Simon. Thanks so much for the generosity. DJ Birdo DOS drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, breakfast with Boom, Dread, Crispy, Fuzzy, and Dave, and of course, Mr. Umbra. Thank you, brother, for the generosity, and appreciate you being here. Jacob Novick, generous friend of the program, has been a channel member for 7 months, and he says this: hi all, I am very, very, very excited for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and I actually don't mind its first person with some third person elements. Yeah, I absolutely have a tremendous theory as to why that is, and I think I love it. We only saw, what did we see? 10 minutes of gameplay, give or take, and it felt like we were watching an Indiana Jones film. They did what they intended to do, but again, we'll get to that in a second. Adidas 20 drops an outstanding and very generous $10 super chat and says, oh my goodness, I have absolutely no complaints about Xbox. Get your controllers ready. Sony put Twitter in PlayStation Plus. Get ready for nonsense. Did they really? Is that a thing? Is he being facetious, or did they put like the subscription service of Twitter in PlayStation? I mean, if they did, they are just trying to win the console war by just buying everybody. I got to now. I have to check Adidas 20. Thank you so much for the generosity, brother. Our good brother Sir X-Man drops an outstanding and very generous $2 super chat and says, digital should have been cheaper than the hard copy, which is why it's $50. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it's being $50 is very fair. And again, look what Alan Wake did. Now, Alan Wake, yeah, it's a bigger game. I get it. It's also a bigger studio. It's fine. But it also was digital only, and I didn't see any Ryan McCaffreys out there, ringing the dinner bell about how they're upset they were. I'm trying to find his quote because someone sent it to me. I thought I had it ready. I'll read it in a sec. But Dreadpool, let's get your hot take on this, man. Hellblade 2, what did it impress?
Well, like everybody's already said, it should have been held back. You know what I mean? It's like the previous one didn't need to show it. Just let it out, and then this showing would have been the showing to all wow us to do everything. It was nice to see, but as you guys already know, I was over with it. I just wanted to play the game. I don't know when it was going to come out. Um, when it comes to the hours part of it, how the length, I'm just glad that they didn't try to force 20 hours on us, because that would be filler. What are we gonna go do? Grab a Viking and go find his other leg too? I mean, how many of those missions are we gonna have? It's just gonna be different. Now it's gonna be a giant leg that we're gonna go look for or something. So I'm glad that they kept all the filler out. 6 to 8 hours sounds fine. We've all said it too before that not every game has to be 58 plus hours. Not every game has to be a game plus. Not every game has to be, just like the others. Be your own, do your own, and create your own. And this is their identity. This is how they want to do it. We have an idea on how this plays, and granted, until we play it in our hands, we don't know, but we do know what the predecessor was. So we do have an idea what this one here will be like. And it they've tweaked it, fine-tuned it, and this should be, usually even in the movies, right? The second version is usually better than the first. And then the third one kind of like flops for some reason because I guess they get too wrapped up in their hype. But this is kind of same thing. And when it comes to the pricing, why do we have to complain about $50? Why is there a complaint saying, "Oh, this is a quality game; it needs to be priced more"? Why not just let them?
Exactly. And you know what though? You see, that's a great question, and it's interesting because the people complaining about a $50 price point that I saw, of course, we don't name names here. We don't get in the middle of that muddy water. But I'm going to say this. These are the same PlayStation knuckleheads that do anything for clout, but yet still, Dread, said publicly, "Oh, I'll pay $100 for the next God of War because it's quality." Because they're all so stupid.
Yeah.
And I guess they're balling like that because I'm sorry. I don't want to pay no $100 for a game. And I'll gladly pay $50 for something as quality as what I saw there.
Well, remember QTE, we don't like those things, but yet that was God of War. What was it? The FMV, that was in God of War too. I thought we didn't like that stuff. I thought we moved on. But again, I'm not complaining about it. I think it's funny the hypocrisy out there about all this. You know what I'm saying? So why not just leave the price be flexible? If the game warrants to be $70, then fine. Warrant it to be $70. If it needs to be $50, $40, or $100, let the devs, the studio, the publisher, whoever's in charge for the price point, let them figure out what their product is worth. And then we will decide from there on our point of view if it's worth that or not. Across the board, everything has to be $70, or across the board, everything, next gen, right? Whatever the PS5 Pro is going to be, or the Xbox Series X Pro, so the XP, right? Think about that one. That those games are going to be $100 from the get-go, or what was it? 2K. They want to charge you by the hour. Are you kidding me? No. Keep the mindset right. You're a gamer. We are all gamers. We need to pay what we think is worth. The studios, the devs, the publishers, they need to charge us what the game is worth, not just throw it out there and then say, you know what? The going rate right now is $70. Next year it'll be $80. So we'll just bump it up and then not give you anything visual fidelity, nothing more, no upgrades, no bumps. We'll just put it on the next platform and we'll charge you the extra $10 just because. Sounds familiar, right? Didn't somebody else do that? So I just got to quote one thing. Ponies. Why is it always got to be ponies?
I don't know, man. Unfortunately, someone forgot to close the pen, and they're just running all over the place. It's just they're kicking and eating apples and all kinds of craziness. I don't know.
Wait, I hear it. I hear it. You guys do hear it? It's the wambulance.
Yeah. I love it. I love not the wambulance. I love it. First of all, let me welcome in. Wow, man, we're crushing numbers. We are almost at 750 live viewers. Freaking amazing. Thank you so much for showing up and hanging out with us early on a Friday morning. Hopefully you're here to celebrate like us. Crispy Bomb, I want to bring you in. Obviously, and I know again, I just got a DM from someone that was talking about how many people actually worked on this game. Apparently, it's 40. 40 people worked on Hellblade 2. I don't know. Can anyone confirm or deny that? If in fact that's the case, and we're getting that from 40 people at Ninja Theory, that I mean, 20 worked on the first one. They doubled their studio size to 40, and look what we're getting. And like I said, I personally only see positives from what we saw. We got a release date. We got a $50 price point. It's digital only. Okay, so many other games are $50. It's Alan Wake. We just talked about it, but I do have in front of me the tweet from Ryan McCaffrey of course, IGN. Now he did have two tweets, one of which was talking about Indiana Jones and why it's better that it wasn't a quote unquote only third person, because it would have been the narrative would have been, oh, it's a copy of Nathan Drake. And he's and you know what, to his point, I absolutely agree with it. I think that Machine Games knows how to tell a story first person. We're going to get that, but you're going to get some third person in the cutscenes, as well as some of the traversal, which I think is brilliant. But again, we'll get to that in a second. But this is what he had to say about the digital aspect, Crispy Bomb, of Hellblade 2. And he says the Xbox Developer Direct was fantastic, and I absolutely agree. But doing a digital only release of one of your major first-party IP games, first-party games, is in capitals not okay. Hellblade 2 deserves a physical release. And of course, listen, I'm not going to hate on the guy. Listen, that's his opinion. I don't respect how he conducts himself. I used to be a huge fan of Ryan McCaffrey. Unfortunately, he has fallen off a cliff for me. And maybe I have fell off a cliff for him. I don't know. We don't talk anymore. So it's fine. Let's get your take on this. Digital only is something that is cutting down costs. And one of the things that we saw, and again, I have to talk about Insomniac Games. Look at the ridiculous budget that they cannot compete with any further. $300 million is what's expected for the next Spider-Man 3. $200+ million for Spider-Man 2. Right? Now, I don't know the budgets of Hellblade 2, but I can guarantee you it's probably a fourth, literally a fourth of what Insomniac spent for Spider-Man 2. So if it's 50 million in a game running in Unreal Engine 5, it's going to have incredible sound, incredible visuals. It's an 8-hour experience for your standard play. It's $50. It's digital only. It's how Microsoft makes money. It makes perfect sense. And you know what? No one was crying to the wind when Alan Wake, which was a game of Alan Wake 2, which was a Game of the Year nominee on almost in every circle possible, was a digital only release. Why is this different? I'm gonna tell you why. It's because it's Xbox. That's why.
I mean, come on. You know, we're on the same page with that. I mean,
depends
on the chat, of course. I mean, I'm sure, you know, I see some new names in here, and you know, you're being respectful. I mean, I am an admin. You know, I kind of let you throw your bars out there as long as you're not, you know, talking smack to certain people, you know, and being personal about it. That's kind of ridiculous. We're talking about games here. We're not talking about, you know, personal aspects. So you look at price point and you say, well, I mean, yes, the game is basically the same amount of time as the first game. But the amount of work you saw them put into this game compared to the last game is bar none. Okay. Now you say, possibly, and it's not too far-fetched to say that they doubled their team, but it's still only 40 people. That is quite possible. And that's because you got a bunch of people that each aspect of the game, they are a huge and important proponent of perfection. And you have people that care so much about the quality of the product they put out that something like Bleeding Edge, we don't talk about it anymore. But honestly, if they kind of reinvigorated it, people might be interested now. I think people are more open-minded than ever. And I also think Ninja Theory is one of those that pushes the boundaries of what we think. And for example, I think, and this is where my concern is for playing the game, it's not something that is going to hit people unless you put headphones on.
Yes.
They have modified what they've already done. And if you watch, there's that one little cut where the two voice actors, I believe they were girls,
the females that
were
were walking
around
yes.
And I'm like, oh my God, people are going to crap themselves because your brain is going to be like, what is really happening right now? And that's where I go and say, all I really want, and I will absolutely beat the game, especially because it's about the same amount of time. Please, if you don't get the puzzle 100 times over, just have a little out. Let me get to this visceral combat that I see. They are not showing the combat, and this is my own opinion, because it is such part of the game that they don't want to spoil it for people. And that's what I felt, because if you're going to have a release date and everything else, you know what you're doing, but you didn't show what I really wanted, which makes me think that when you get into those combat situations, it is going to feel so close that you're going to die, that you get to the end of it and you're like, you conquered Rome or something, like that type of mentality. And I think that's what they're going for. And I think it's going to blow people's minds if they actually go through it. But that's a lot to deal with. The audio is going to be super important. I see a lot of people complaining about the walking. That's literally, you're not even going to be worried about it. You're going to be like, thank God this thing, I'm just walking right now, because what is everything going on in my headphones? And that's even what I felt with the first one. I didn't beat the first one because the puzzles annoyed the heck out of me. And then you have the voices still going, and you're like, oh, what are we doing? Just let me go through. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but again, not to just add to your context to the walking thing. Like, I saw that, and I just muted these people. Like, I don't know. Is she supposed to float? Is she supposed to get on a skateboard? Is she supposed to ride
travel,
a log like Fred Flintstone with the legs on the log?
Spider webs. Come on, man.
I don't know.
Spider webs.
And again, folks, I'm not. This is no slander. I say it all the time. I love PlayStation 5 for these types of experiences. Right? It's what I have a PlayStation 5 for. God of War walks along. Senua walks along. Nathan Drake walks along. I don't understand. Some of the things, it's just like, what is she an alien? Did they cut her feet off? Is she, like I said, is she gonna, what do they want her to do? Build a wheelchair and roll around? I don't know. It's ridiculous.
They want her to row a boat to the PlayStation. That's what they want.
No, that's exactly what they want. Yeah,
and never gonna happen.
And let's be honest here. We've seen so many clips from these PlayStation guys of like the walking and seeing like this vista or this, this moment where you're like, wow, look at this game. You know what I mean? And I mean, shame on Ninja Theory for wanting to do that as well. I saw it in just these little, it really is like a little sizzle reel. Like, they're not trying to give you too much. They don't want to spoil the game. The game's not that long. They've already said it. And they're not charging you like it's that long. So where's the problem here? I mean, digital only, most people purchase on digital now. I mean, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, they know that the disc is only reading to a certain point and then it stops. It's not like it was when we grew up where it was the whole game on there. That's not the way it works anymore. These games are too big. That's okay. They're not charging us for it. They're not charging $70 for a game that they don't feel is worth $70. They feel the hours are not there. They feel the quality is there, but they're not going to, roll it over your head and be like, you have to pay us. And that's what I feel like Sony's been doing. And I feel it is the smartest move ever to go and say, you know what? Even if it's only 10 hours for you, you only paid $50 if you don't want it on Game Pass because it's there too.
Yep.
And you just go and say, I have no problem with this. And the visuals and everything else. I mean, are we doubting that? I doubt that. I think it's going to be Game of the Year nominated at the minimum at this point.
Oh, dude, 100%. So getting back to the digital aspect of it, and I want to go to Fuzzy Belvedere. Several people in the chat here bring up phenomenal points, and there's been quite a few. So I'm trying to get to everyone to give you credit because this is what I love about the chat. First of all, we got 800 people on a Friday morning. I can't thank you enough, man. That is amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Elton in the chat says nearly all major retailers are eliminating physical games. Where does IGN expect these games to be sold? Darkman Next 5549 says, where is a physical release going to be stocked since stores like Walmart are no longer carrying physical copies? Now, there were a few others. Hold on just a second. Let me see if I can find it because this is what I love about the chat. Everyone's is talking and making a lot of great points here.
Like Best Buy getting rid of their stuff.
Best Buy, Target is getting rid of their physical releases. It's sad, and I'm sure that there's going to be an online aspect that you'll be able to go and like maybe Target will still sell discs online, which a lot of people are moving to. This Amazon is still going to sell your physical media, but this is the thing. And what I find to be the most odd conversational point, Fuzzy, even with the gaming media, it's $50. How is a great experience? We're all seeing the same shit. I mean, for crying out loud, I know I wear glasses, so maybe your eyes are seeing it crisper than mine, but you were all seeing the same game, and it looks amazing. It looks at least double, triple, quadruple times better than the original in every way. It's Unreal Engine 5, and it's at $50. How does that become a talking point? I don't get it. I mean, Sony literally is selling a 3.5-year-old game to people for $50 in The Last of Us 2 and adding 2 modes, one of which is play a guitar. Who gives a shit, right? And the other one is the roguelite mode. Okay, that sounds cool. I can see people enjoying, and good on you if you do. But they're selling you a game that is remastered, and it looks identical. Even the Digital Foundry knuckleheads couldn't find a difference. So now instead of celebrating and I think that really, really at the crux of this conversation, and this gets missed by almost everybody, and this is where the inner police officer just kind of comes jumping out. Folks, this is an action adventure game, but at the tip of the spear, they are still entrenched with letting you know that mental illness is a serious problem around the world, especially in this country. And they are telling you about it, and they are teaching you about it without you know that they're teaching you about it. And that should be the start of every conversation regarding what Ninja Theory is doing, because they have worked with people who not only suffer from psychosis, and they brought them in to help them build this game, but they're working with doctors and nurses and people in the medical field to understand that when they build this game, that they're not going to do any harm to the conversation of mental illness. That is something no one is talking about. But please, let's get your hot take on this, man.
All right, so I'm gonna start with the whole digital and physical back and forth, which I know some people are not going to like what I say as far as when it comes to physical, but I'll start with PC. Name me a game that you can buy on PC that's physical. not one of those, limited run type of deals. Because I actually did the research on this. The last actual game to be printed for physical was Doom 2016. And if you're a PC guy or gal, you haven't had a physical game since then. And in most cases, that was because of, demand from the Doom community to have a physical copy. Prior to that, 2012 was, between 2012 and 2014 was when a majority of PC games and software went full digital. Basically, if you bought a box in a store, it was a digital code inside. So basically a waste of space. You could just go to the website and download it if your internet was good enough, which you would have to have good enough internet regardless, because if you bought the box, you still got the code, you still have to download it. And I think it was Crispy was saying it before. Most of these games aren't fitting on the disc anymore. So it's just basically a licensed key that you're buying with that physical disc. Like people were upset about Halo not having the full game on disc. That's just the way things are right now. Like if you look at games like Call of Duty, it's how many gigs on your hard drive when you put the game on there? Like, yeah, the disc could handle it, but do you really want to have a disc that has all of that information on there and still not be useful if the servers get shut down? Like, what good is physical these days? If you made that argument back in 2008, 2009, maybe I would agree with you that, yeah, physical is the way to go. But because we didn't really make a stand back then, it doesn't matter anymore. Like your physical games don't matter because I have a physical game of GT Sport. They shut the server down. So what is that disc good for? It's a coaster now. So this random upsetness about a physical copy not being available, well, guess what? Make enough noise and maybe a limited run will be available and you'll pay your $80 to $100 for the $50 game that everybody else gets digitally, which, by the way, it's probably just going to be a license key anyway, so you're going to have to download the game. So all you're paying for is the packaging. At least they're making the game $50, considering Sony is famous for, they raised it, the price of gaming $10. They wanted to do more. 2K joined them, but the whole thing is 2K, and I think it was EA that kind of talked Sony off the ledge of the $80 per game back to 70, because they figure 80 would probably break the whole gaming economy to some extent. But we don't normally champion or praise a developer when they put what we would see as a reasonable price for reasonable content. That was the same case with AC, the recent AC Mirage, I think it was. That one wasn't like a full $70 game. Now they're trying to get $70 for Skull and Bones. We'll see how that goes. But Alan Wake didn't charge, the full 70 for their game. I mean, we have to look at it this way. Companies typically will charge you the same for physical and digital. And the fact that there's a company now that's only doing digital and, cutting us some of the slack, like us as consumers, we're benefiting from it. So I think that should be the focal point. But if you're all about physical, you lost that battle 10 years ago. And it's, I mean, if servers are cut off, I mean, look at what Ubisoft is talking about now. Well, you need to get comfortable with not owning your games. Well, in most cases, all of their games are online, so you don't technically own it. You have a license to be on their servers. And once they cut those servers, guess what? It's a coaster. So it is what it is as far as that's concerned. But back to, overall on my opinion on Hellblade 2, this is a game that started off with a small team for the first installment of Hellblade. They basically punched above their weight level or their weight class as far as having, I think it was like somewhere around 20 or so developers work on the previous one. The budget was under 20 mil or roughly around that. So to have a game that looked like it was AAA level from a small team and have that type of praise and regard across all platforms, I would say is an accomplishment in itself. And to now have it where they have a little bit more financial a lot more financial backing. They're able to double the size of the team, but they still want to keep things at the core to the fundamental story. They don't want to bloat this down with, fetch quests and collectibles all across a map, which some people are fine with. I'm starting to rollback from the whole, Assassin's Creed 80-hour games or 160-hour game where you have to go through all these sections and collectibles and not towers, but like checkpoints to get, clearance for other parts of the map. We don't need that. And I'm glad they didn't go quite that route as far as making it where, you take a 8-hour experience and bloat it up to 40 hours for no apparent reason other than just busy work and stuff. So I like that they have a focused story. It's around the same length as the original game. Played about 80 or 90% of the original game, haven't finished it. I think I got it to about 80% on PlayStation and then picked it up when it came on Xbox. And I think that playthrough is about at 60% through, although it went through a lot faster because all the puzzles are now a lot easier to go through. But man, I'm looking forward to this game. I would say my only disappointment, if it's even to be considered a disappointment, is it's not earlier in the year. I mean, May is fine. I was kind of figuring maybe February or March or something like that. But as soon as we can get it in hand, I'll be happy. I think that's the big thing. But to focus on like it's digital only, like if I could see somebody making that claim in the early 2000s, but it's 2024. If you're still talking about physical, you're part of the problem. Nothing personal. It's just that there is no need for it at this point because all it is a stamped disc that you're paying for that probably costs them pennies on the dollar that they're going to charge you real dollars for. That is just your license or your key that you can play the game and download it from online. Like they stopped reading discs 2 generations ago. Like I don't even think during the Xbox One and PS4 past that first year, there were games still reading the disc to play them. I think even like the very beginning, they were still downloadable games where you had to do the full install. Now, it may have been able to pull the full install from the disc, but a lot of times because of a day one patch, that was useless. So you're pulling the full download from online. And that's why I went full digital in 2016. The numbers show that 70% of gamers across the world are already digital only. Now, if you dig into it a little bit more, I think in the US it's 90 and in Asia it's 80. The UK is the only one that's at 70 and they're holding on for all it's worth to keep physical. I guess because the physical charts are the only thing that matter over there or something.
Well, I mean, think about it. They're closing down Game, their biggest retailer in the UK. That's closing down, folks.
Mm-hmm. I mean, why are they going to stay open? Like the only thing that they were being really used for was to trade in your previous generation console for the next generation console. You're not buying software there. You can't through Sony. Sony made it so you can't buy anything digital. You have to go through their store. You could buy the physical games, which is great when they have like the buy 2 get 1 free if you're willing to wait a few months. But outside of that, they're not making money on that. I mean, sure, they only paid the person pennies on the dollar to get the game to resell it to you used, but that's not a way to keep the lights on for a business that size. So it is what it is. If you're not ready for digital only, I don't know what to tell you. Your music is pretty much that way. Yeah, you can still buy it, but even that's getting reduced now with places like Target, Walmart, Best Buy. I mean, Best Buy is one of the
even
few
DVD
remaining electronic stores out there.
Yeah,
so,
DVDs is now. Look what's happening at all the major retailers. They're moving away from physical.
The only physical you're going to get is the hardware itself that streams or downloads, and that's what's going to matter. Memory is going to be the new, like disc. You know what I mean? That's the way it's going to go.
Yeah. Well, listen, good stuff. Fuzzy Belvedere. Let's get Web Dave in here now, folks. Obviously, we're almost at 900 people. We're almost at the 1 hour mark. So obviously, I didn't expect to spend this much time on just Hellblade because there's obviously 4 other games and the 2 major ones. I mean, again, if Aura is your thing, I hear you. I love the presentation. I love the story that they told. Just not so much for me. We are going to get into Avowed. We're going to get into Indiana Jones, and then of course we're going to give our scores before we get on out of here. Dave, before I bring you in, bro, let me catch up on Super Chats. Michael Mooney drops a very generous £5 Super Chat and says, as stores are getting rid of physical media, where are you going to sell your physical Hellblade discs? And that's perfect. I mean, it's perfect. You can't even argue that. Tay Talks, our good friend all the way from the other side of the planet. Tay, good morning, kind sir. How the heck are you? He says this after dropping a very generous £2 super chat. 2024 has started out well. Dope developer direct. Indeed, it was. Absolutely. Sir X-Man drops an additional $2 super chat and says, The Mandalorian said digital is the way. Quote me. And our good friend Juan has gifted 5 double barrel gaming memberships. That is crazy generous of you. Thank you. Good morning, Juan. And obviously, if you did get one of them, please, by all means, let this man know and tell him thank you. He also drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, they're complaining about walking in Senua, but they then complain about fast travel in Starfield. Make it make sense. Indeed. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? You kind of, what are we going to do here? Just be invisible. I don't know.
Well, you know, that reminds me. The reason why they're complaining is because she's supposed to be walking around, and as she's walking, she's supposed to do like a little skip going da 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 da.
I guess maybe to make the game better. I don't know.
Is that what it is?
I hope not. I don't want that. I don't want to play that game. Damn it. Silver Afro, who's been a channel member for 27 months, brother. That is very kind of you. Thank you for the generosity. He says this. What are we collecting? All of my physical games are sitting in the basement closet behind 200 pounds of junk. And he's not wrong. I mean, I have an amazing physical collection, and it's in storage because I don't have a man cave yet. And even when I have one, there's limited space. What are you going to do with it? I don't know. Web Dave, let's get your hot take on this. We're gonna talk about Hellblade, and we're gonna come right back to you and talk about Avowed, because I think Avowed, if you watched, listen, do yourself a flavor and go watch it in 4K on an OLED, and that is the game that you're going to get from Obsidian. It looks, I've watched it now because I was talking to Everborn this morning, and he said he watched it multiple times. I said, I watched it twice. Before the show, I watched it again. Just incredible. Like, absolutely incredible. But Dave, what are your thoughts on some of the controversy, and are you excited for Hellblade 2?
Yes. I'm very excited for Hellblade 2. Okay, I'm done. No. So, but to make it quick, because everybody else has some fantastic points. I'll just say that when there was the leak of documents, I guess from Insomniac Games, and one of the big key things that they were telling their teams to strive for is the level of graphic quality of Hellblade 2. To me, that kind of just says it all. And then seeing it again, knowing the hard work they put in. Now we have a release date. It's going to be, the last game was great, and I'm sure there's going to be some improvements, timing, puzzles, and things like that. Because they have more people to work on it, it's going to be more in depth. And of course, the graphics, ungodly looking. It's fantastic. So I'm looking forward to it very much so. Any complaints on the price? I mean, to take the consideration of how long they think the game's going to take, and that they are cognizant of that, and basically pass that on to the player so that it's respectful of their time and their money. I think that shows, a level of respect that they have, for the product, and also for the people that are going to be playing the game, as well as it's going to be in Game Pass anyway. So if you got Game Pass, it's going to cost you a dime, but $50 is more than reasonable. It's a great price. Who would complain about the price being lower? I don't know. Especially when we see the level of quality. So yeah, that's what I have to say on that. I think it's going to be an absolutely fantastic game. I can't wait to play it. And man, a lot of people really want it on other platforms, but it's exclusive.
Yep.
To the Xbox ecosystem.
Indeed. Yeah, indeed it is. Like I said, just buy an Xbox, folks, or boot up that $500 thing. Listen, Dave, I want to go right back to you. You're a movie guy. You like me and Mrs. Boom. You love film. And Indiana Jones just, for me, stole the show. That's my game of the show. Now, I know I've seen some people kind of walking a fine line of disappointment that it's not all third person, that they would rather see indie. And I kind of think that we have to allow for the artist in Machine Games and Todd Howard to tell the story on what and how they want to do it. Like I said, it is third person. It does. They wanted to put you into the shoes of Indiana Jones. They do have a lot of third person viewage, if you will, in the form of when you're traversing, you are in third person. When you are driving, supposedly you are in third person. When you are in a cutscene, instead of it being in first person like many other games, you see the character, you see the iconic whip, the hat, the leather jacket. It puts you in a movie like scenario. I have zero problems with it. I was watching it actually as I was driving to get Mrs. Boom, and I was yelling at the top of my lungs of how good it looked. And you know what? This is why this is an important piece to Xbox moving forward in potentially taking over first place from Sony as market leader, is getting people to the box or to the platform by delivering games that make them look, listen, and want to be a part of the conversation. And I say that, Dave, because they have someone sent me a DM, and apparently this gentleman by the name of Germain Lusser, he is a pop culture dude, and he's a senior reporter covering entertainment for Gizmondo. Now, I didn't know who he was, but it's what he said that I think is a sentiment that we're starting to see happen since the Indiana Jones took over social media yesterday, and people are still talking about it, Dave. This is what he had to say. I don't have an Xbox. I've never owned an Xbox. I never wanted an Xbox until now. That is a very telling tweet. Now, it's one person, sure, but one person turns into two, and two turns into three, and that's how things grow. And this is one of those zeitgeist conversational titles that I think that people are still talking about. I'm going to go and look and see the numbers of it. Obviously, I want to get your hot take on it. What do you feel about what was shown for Indiana Jones by Machine Games, directed by the legendary man himself, God Howard?
Yeah, it looked fantastic. And on the developers direct, which I really enjoy these. I think it's pretty cool. Get a little insight, a little bit of behind the scenes, and they're able to talk more about it. And you can tell the passion that they had for making this game. But the one thing that I loved they said is, we don't want you to play Indiana Jones, or we won't play as Indiana Jones. We want you to become Indiana Jones. For the first person, you are Indiana Jones. You're the one doing everything. And all the things that are important, climbing a wall, stuff like that you need to see. There are elements that pull out and do that. So I think it's going to be a great mix. Todd knows gaming, and he put this team in place to do it because he really felt that they were the ones that were going to be able to do it. And it looks fantastic. I mean, it sounds like Harrison Ford, even though it's a different actor that does it, but he really does a great job.
Troy Baker, yeah.
Exactly.
Troy Baker's the man. You can't argue that dude.
I was totally like, is that Harrison? Like, did they clean up his voice? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah. And the look, oh my gosh. Because obviously if they license the franchise, he's part of the franchise, and they're able to get his likeness.
Good.
Harrison Ford's still getting paid. Don't you worry about that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Oh, he's
going to be getting his money for his likeness. That is no doubt. And I think the care and stuff they put in there, it really give you the feel. The music, the guy they hired for the music, oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah, he worked under John Williams, who did all of the Indiana Jones original.
All of it.
And that guy, John Williams, is just, he's
He's
legendary.
the best.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it sounded like him. I mean, if the best compliment I could use, I first thought I was like, oh, that can't be. And it was like, yeah, they work together. And like, yep, you can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell. Absolutely.
And I'm sure everybody saw it at the very end. And I just thought it was so funny when the guy's talking at the end, and then you see Todd Howard sneak up and steal the statue from the Raiders, and then just hide back. It was there's already memes and all kinds of stuff about it, but it's just that's just oh my gosh,
it's a lot of it was fun.
I'm rambling is what I'm doing right now because it was great, and it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to play it, and we're going to get it this year.
Yes,
not next year.
Yep,
not whatever date. This year, I don't care when it comes. This year,
phenomenal.
So
yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at some of the numbers, and I'm going to bring Infinite Umbra into the conversation. Infinite, let's go to you, man. So on IGN, they're closing in on 1 million views for the 3-minute trailer. A couple of other ones that they have here: 500 and 500,000 for the Xbox for Bethesda. They have 200,000 views for GameSpot. There's another 4K. I mean, hundreds of thousands of views for this, millions now of views because people are interested. People are excited. What were your takeaways, man? Because I'm going to be interested to tune in to this evening's show that you're on with Risk It for the Biscuit, because obviously we're talking to DM. He has a different theory, which again, his opinion. I disagree. I told him I disagree, but I'm going to be tuning in tonight to hear what he has to say. But what are your thoughts on Indiana Jones?
Oh yeah, it's going to be a good show tonight because we got our brother Special Nick coming through, and Nick,
very nice.
And Special Nick is on the other side of that as well. So
yeah,
Risk It didn't care for it being first person, and I saw a few people wanted it third person. I get it, but Machine Games, they said this is what they do. First person is their forte. Right. And they said if they made Tetris, it'd be first person shooter. Now I kind of want that game now, but by the way,
me too.
But anyway, long story short, I loved it, man. And the more I watched, when I went back to watch it, like the thing, what I think is hard to really do when it comes to this, and this is why I loved Hogwarts so much, because they captured the essence of what that world was. You know what I mean? And if you're a Harry Potter fan, you saw that. It was clear. They put the love in it. You see this with Indiana Jones. You see the love put into it. Now there's polish that needs to be done still too, because you can see a bit of it with the character models here and there, right? But the world looks gorgeous. Look at the lighting. Look at the HDR. It's gorgeous all around. And then they have third person sections. It makes sense for its world. You are Indiana Jones. You're using the whip to do various things, from traversing to literally knocking guns out of people's hands and stuff like that. I think they nailed it just fine. And of course, he had the old German pistol that he would pull out on him and cap a fool if he needed to. But it's just dope, man. The one thing I wish they would do, if I could get them to do one thing for me,
what's that?
It would be to add the proper punch sound effects when Indy is punching these guys and facing them up. Because if you all remember the movies, somebody else.
I heard that. You didn't hear the.
I heard a bit, but like in the movie, it was like a heavy thud.
Yeah, no, but I could have. I mean, listen,
I'm gonna go back and watch it. You might be right.
You should, because when he, I know exactly what you're talking about, because that is classic Indy. When he punches someone,
it's a very heavy hit. Yeah.
Yes, go listen to when he swings down.
Okay,
he's in third person. He goes into first person. He whips the guy.
I know what you mean.
It has that sound that is the Indy sound, the Indy punching sound.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and check it out. Right after I finish talking.
Hey, Umbra, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was gonna say, we were talking about the sound in it. If you listen, when you watch the direct, they actually include the Willem scream.
The Willem scream.
I was like, yeah.
I didn't hear that either, so now I gotta pay attention.
It's in there.
To that too. That's classic. I mean, it's perfect to throw that in there, right? But like, okay, so I'll withhold that then until I can go back and check in a second. But that's one of the things I needed them to put in there, because it's like having Batman, 67 Batman or whatever it was, 66 Batman, when you heard the bam, bloom, and they have the pow popping up on the screen. That is as intrinsic to me to indie as that is with this punching sound effect. So if they have it in there, kudos even more so to Machine Games. Like I said, though, the world building, not the world building, but the world aspect of it, how good everything looked, the puzzle aspect is what I meant to say. And this is another thing. By them going this route, which I think in our heart of hearts, we all kind of knew it would be first person, just because it's Machine Game. I think we kind of knew in our heart of hearts, but we were kind of hoping for that third person action over the shoulder. Like, I think that's what it was. So I think they did the best of both worlds, where they're giving us the first person perspective. And these are no slouches. Machine Games are top notch in their field. So you have to know that they're about to bring it. And, somebody actually alluded me to something that, or not alluded much, but illuminated me, if you will, to something I wasn't really aware of. Did you all know that Machine Games, a lot of the developers there used to be part of the team? I can't remember their name right now. Part of the team who created or made the Escape from Butcher Bay.
Yes, Starbreeze.
Starbreeze. That's it. I didn't know that, and that's one of my favorite games of all time.
Dude, that game is still. I wish they would remake that game.
I would love for them to do that. Riddick, there you go. Pixel, thank you. And Riddick,
that's a game that needs to be brought back.
It does.
That needs to be a remaster. Bring it back. That series right there is old enough, right? That's old enough.
Mm-hmm.
But back onto the new stuff.
Absolutely. And I love that game. I mean, that's one of those games to me that helped kind of make the original OG Xbox what it was. So things like that, it shows you the pedigree this team has. So I have zero worry about the first person aspect of how they're going to handle it with the combat and the gunplay and the whip. All of that I'm expecting to be solid. That's nothing. So, but I think what they did wisely was they're going to have action set piece moments, which is what I hope they had. Like when you saw him shooting the gun on the I forgot what caliber gun that is on the airplane, but he jumps off and then jumps to the next one. That's just like classic Indiana Jones type stuff right there. You know what I mean? So you can see that they have the essence and the spirit of what Indiana Jones is. They have a little humor, probably have to refine it to make sure it's right. And I'll say this too. I mean, I love doing voiceovers. I did the Halo 2 table read. I want to do more.
Yeah,
we're talking about doing the Mass Effect table read eventually. I don't know who I'll get in there, but I'm gonna get somebody. But the thing is that you have to give somebody like Troy Baker his love, man, and to see, because at first when I heard it, I wasn't sure who it was, because
it sounds like Harrison Ford. Like
he sounded a lot like him. Major credit to him sounding like the 30s era, 30 age era, indie. So credit to where credit is due. Troy Baker is dope. And I'm sorry to say it, but we had a whole bunch of Hoove brothers who turned against him now that he's on Xbox games.
Ridiculous, dude.
They are. They're weird. But no, I was just so impressed by how he sounded, how the visuals looked. They nailed. Obviously, they had to pay, I'm sure, a mint to Harrison Ford for his likeness. By the way, just to ask, did you all think with the visuals on his face that they were trying to blend a bit of Harrison Ford and Troy Baker? Or
maybe a little bit.
Maybe
a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was looking. I was like, he looked like Indy. At moments, he looked dead on like Indy. Then other moments, it's like, wait a minute. So I don't know. But anyway, regardless of that, I love what I saw, especially once I rewatched it again outside of the group of fellas I watched it with. And of course in 4K, and it's gorgeous, man. The world, like I said, looks so good to me. The world looked better than the characters, but somebody pointed out maybe it was the sepia tone that kind of, because the sepia tone can make or break, I think, sometimes in a game. It kind of throws it off a little bit. But when I think if that's turned down, I think to me it improves the visuals for me personally. So I think, but I did see some steals in 4K, and the steals made me like rethink, like maybe I was wrong. It looks really, really good right here, the combat and everything, and the hands and the fists. So it's first impressions, and they have plenty of time to polish it. I think Xbox has a W on their hands right here.
Oh yes,
and you saw a lot of the people like like the dude off Easy Ally is desperate to have it on PlayStation. So they know it's a game that they want to. They'll lie and say they don't, but it's a game that clearly is that zeitgeist type of thing, because Indiana Jones is well known in the in the whole nerddom of community of everything else. We all know who Harrison Ford is. We all know Indiana Jones. Even at least us older folks do. You youngins, damn you! No, I'm joking, but still, I'm excited, man. I liked what I saw. I want them to get the more time, as much time as they need, get it, and make sure you nail this thing down, and and keep it going. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, folks, if you didn't know, Pal World is now available. Well, the developer just tweeted, and this is pretty interesting. The game has only been out for a mere 8 hours. It is obviously exclusive to Xbox and PC. It has already had sold over 1 million copies in 8 hours.
Yes, so
wow.
Yeah, so this is a small team.
I told you.
This is a small team, and I started. It's okay. So it's not what I thought it was going to be. It's very Animal Crossing, where you got to build things. I don't know how I like that, because I really kind of just want to get some gun things going on. I thought it was going to be just like, hey, you find Pokemon and you train them or whatever. I'm going to still play. I'm enjoying it because I do like Animal Crossing, but it's very Animal Crossing meets Pokemon. And I know that Jez Corden is enjoying it, because he put a big tweet out there that he's enjoying it. But I mean, listen, who doesn't love Jez? Crispy, let's bring you in on this. Indiana Jones, man, this is the one. I mean, I think this is. I agree with Umber. I think this is a big W. I loved everything about it. It gave me, as someone who saw the first Raiders of the Lost Ark in the theaters. I've seen all of them in the theaters except for the last one, which was I watched digitally. It was good. It wasn't great, but this really gave you the feeling of an Indiana Jones film. I loved every second of it. I've watched the trailer now 5 times. It's phenomenal looking. What are your thoughts?
I mean, what is Indy to us that grew up with, at least, like, I didn't grow up when you guys saw movies in the theaters and I saw the remaster of them. That's when movie companies actually made like, hey, we're gonna re-release it and we're gonna have HD and all this other stuff. And I'm gonna tell you something. I felt so mad for like a millisecond of like, you guys are going first person, and that was going to drive me nuts. And then all of a sudden you start seeing these cut back, like, hey, like the traversal is going to be third person. And then I saw the character models, and then I heard the voice, and I was like, is that Harrison? Like, did they like clean up his voice? Because I watched 1923. He doesn't have that voice anymore. He doesn't. So like, I thought it was like AI or something, and I was like, is this Harrison? And then people say, no, it's Troy Baker. And I'm like, how the hell does he do that good of an impression that I was sitting there like, I heard Harrison's voice when he was younger. Yeah, that's pretty damn good. And
by the way, Crispy Bomb, the heat they would have on their asses if they used AI for this game.
Like dude, no, it would be.
I know that. But like, I'm talking like AI, like to clean up the voice, like
have Harrison do it. Okay, I see.
Yeah. Like use that and say, okay, like let's make it 20 years younger. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's make it at least like somewhere there. And that's where I felt, because if you watch 1923, you're like, yeah, he can't do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? But like the character model and everything else, like all worked. And I'm like, okay, I can't endorse this first. And then they brought out the whip, and I was like, oh, I get it. Like, I don't know. It's one of those things, because it's iconic. Like Indiana with the whip, that's icon status. Okay. Like that whip probably like up to like thousands of dollars in value, like, after that show, because at the end of the day, like that's what we remember this. Like he's always used that damn whip. It don't matter what it is. And now they add like, crack it and then fucking watch somebody go, sorry for that bomb. Watch somebody go and look at it and be like, where'd that noise come from? And it's all the way over there.
He's over here. That is amazing.
And I was like, that is hilarious, because what has Indiana always been to us? At least the people that have watched the movies. Witty, has gravitas.
Yes.
Chooses not to. It's the last resort for him to actually kill somebody.
Macho.
And that's everything that I saw. Like he uses his smarts to get around things. And I feel like they described it exactly that way. Like, hey, you have the option. Yes, you can go in there guns blazing, which, I mean, they developed Wolfenstein. I mean, of course, why not? But they give you that option to say, hey, you could be witty, you could be stealthy, you could be whatever you want. And it's in first person, but you got, once in a while, you're going to get that third person and you're going to like it. And it reminds me of some old school stuff. But at the same time, the graphics look really good, even though this is the first glimpse we've gotten at it.
They're using,
there's no hate there.
id Tech 7, which is their new engine. And we know
id Tech, we all know. We all know about id Tech. I mean, id Tech, UE5, like that's where I think, like, and I didn't say this before, that's where I think Hellblade, they might not have the budget that all these Sony games have, because they didn't have to develop UE5, but id Tech, same deal, like, but it's in-house now.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even that's where I go and say, like, I don't feel that Slipspace is going to disappear, because I feel like it has a niche. And I feel like, with Forge and everything else has shown that it's a special, proprietary engine. And I think
you're right.
That
but this game looked good, dude. You were 1,000%.
I mean, it brings me back to my childhood, but also I am a third person, and I wanted this to be third person, and now I see why they didn't do it, and I actually am more intrigued than ever, and I think I can leave it at that.
Yeah, dude, good points, and I think you're onto something. I think that the feeling that you got seeing this in the theater, being a fan of Indiana Jones, was on the screen. Like, you, even at the end where he surprises the guy and he drops face, he goes, do you know how much money that was worth? Or do you know how old that was? That's like a very indie thing to say, right?
Exactly.
Dreadpool, let's get your take on this, man. Obviously, you're an old man just like all of us. Sorry, we're all old. It's fine. I mean, what were your takeaways from Indy? And again, I know that maybe for a lot of people, the third person perspective might be a bit jarring, but I think that just based on the 10 minutes we saw, it really is just bleeding with personality. And if you are a fan of the films, I think you're going to dig this.
I was looking around to see if I had a whip or something nearby, and I can be like, that's what I think about it. But yeah, no, none of that. But again, ponies. Why is it always got to be ponies? In the chat.
I love it.
But they're gone. But again, no, here's the thing, right? I understand the first person, third person view perspective. Everybody's got their own little thing to say about it. Everybody's got their feelings on it. But I think they did it right. And we even said the same thing, that it's going to be compared to Nathan Drake. Right? We're going to have Uncharted comparisons. And you know that they can't stay away from being like, well, this is very PlayStation-esque. This is very PlayStation this. You know what I mean? So what are they going to do? They are good at what they do, and it's first person. But they did say that they wanted to make sure that you felt that you were indie, but you also got to see what indie looks like. You also got to see that. So they melded it together, and from what I saw, I think they did a good job so far. right? Obviously, we'll have to actually play the game, so we'll know. But for seeing actual gameplay, right off the bat, other than just the hey, we have indie, and then here it is. How long after that we actually have gameplay? And 2024 is a date. Well, at least a year for it. That's impressive. I'm still thinking 2025, but they put a date on it. So, and my 2025 was before knowing anything other than knowing that we had gameplay. So yeah, I'm gonna have to eat some shoe or a hat on that one. And I'm perfectly fine. I'll get the salt and pepper, and we'll go with that, right? 2024, that's great because I'll be alive for that. We never know, some of these games are taking forever, and if it's already been 3 years in production, and here we are on the 4th year, they're doing pretty good. And like you guys were talking about the sound effects, just everything that's classic indie. Sorry, but the best 2 movies are the first 2, and I did like the third one. I just don't remember people having controversy about The Last Crusade, but apparently there was. So I think it's going to be the same thing. Like we talked about the Crystal Skull and the latest one. I think the generations that got into indie later on, it's just like Star Wars. The ones that get onto it later on didn't really know about the first ones, didn't know why we loved it from the from the get-go, right? So there's generations right now that didn't even know that there was movies because they were watching the Clone Wars, which was, the CGI animation. Didn't even know about it, So there's that generation. There's that generation from episode 1 through 3. Didn't even know that there was 4, 5, and 6 already out, because why would there be 4, 5, and 6 out? You know what I'm saying? So there's different generations, and the same thing here with indie. There's us that love the original 2 to 3, and then some of us still, love indie for indie, no matter who's in it. Just do it. But when you look at it, this game is going to be another one of those generational pop icons, right?
Yep.
This is going to be another one of those things that most people probably didn't even know that there's movies that this is based off of, and they will just be like, "Wow, this is amazing." And that's how I feel it's going to end up being. So it's going to be generational. It's going to be amazing. It's going to set a precedent. We've already talked about how somebody said I never wanted to buy an Xbox before. Now this wants me to buy an Xbox.
Now they do. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and in my field, if you're a driver, it takes, I don't know, it doesn't take much to get called in on as a driver for being a poor driver because you cut somebody off that you didn't see, or they were the ones that were at fault, but yet you were doing your thing and didn't realize that you somehow cut them off because they were speeding. All right. But for that to happen, you've already upset 4 or 5 people before. So usually you upset 5 people, and then the 6th person calls in. So this is one person that's already said that this is why I'm going to be buying an Xbox. So there's 5 others that will be doing the same thing. They just won't be calling it in. So they won't be calling it out saying, "Hey, this is why I'm buying an Xbox, because of this game."
No, I
Right?
mean,
So it just shows you that there's
good
more
analogy.
behind the scenes that are quiet when it comes to normies. They, some normies just all they know is PlayStation. This might be the thing that next normie will be like, "I'm buying a PlayStation X, whatever that thing is."
Yeah,
I'm buying that.
exactly. No, that's a good point. I think you're going to see again. It's in order to take over the market, you need to stack the deck. That is what Xbox is currently doing. They're stacking the deck. It's Avowed. It's Indiana Jones. It's Hellblade 2. It's going to be the next Gears. It's going to be the next Forza. And it is going to keep stacking, and people are eventually not going to be able to deny. Listen, folks, we only got about 35 minutes because we only do this only a 2-hour program. I do want to get to Fuzzy Belvedere, and then we're going to talk about Avowed. And then, of course, before we get there, I want to catch up on Super Chat. Spend a lot of them. But Fuzzy Belvedere, let's get your take on Indiana Jones. you're a fan of the films. Did you get the same feeling that we all seem to have with this 10-minute presentation? I can't wait to freaking play.
Oh yeah, they definitely captured the feeling from the movies. That was probably the biggest home run out of the whole deal. Yeah, I would have probably liked to see more third person aspects of it, but the way they did it is a good transition. Like you're going to be doing some of the action stuff in first person, the stuff where you're probably scaling walls and things along those lines. As far as some of the pathways and stuff, seeing in third person is cool. Come up to a vista, seeing like the silhouette of them, with the hat and everything. I think it seems like, and you could tell from the excitement of the dev team, they're fans of the movies as well. So it looks like they've tried to capture that same presence, not just from the character himself, like the voice acting sounds a lot like Harrison Ford when he was younger, and the overall look looks like the younger Indy and everything. So you could tell that they're fans and they're excited to recreate this where you can actually play as Indy, and loved everything I saw about it. Sure, the third person perspective would have been more of a preference, but yeah, a few people made a good point. And amazingly enough, Ryan McCafferty was actually right on one thing where a lot of people would have probably been like scene for scene comparing it to Uncharted, but let's be clear. And I think Jago6 and a few others in the chat may mention it's like if it wasn't for Raiders of the Lost Ark, we probably wouldn't have Uncharted or Tomb Raider.
Hello, yes,
but yeah, it was great to see. Great to see it wasn't just going to be another carbon copy of what's out there on the gaming space now when it comes to between Tomb Raider and Uncharted. So having something that's unique in itself and still stays true to the movie, it's a perfect matchup, and I think they knocked it out of the park. The fact we're getting it this year is a bit of a surprise, but hey, I'm all for it, so can't wait.
Yeah, that makes two of us. I think that's the biggest surprise is that we are getting it this year.
Hey,
Somebody want to say
Boom.
something? Yes, sir.
I was going to add to that because Dredd was making a point, and I was like, you know what? That just made me think. You would talk about Nintendo, and you talk about how, because you mentioned the zeitgeist, and of course, Nintendo has these games as part of the zeitgeist because people know Mario.
Yeah,
Mario is a well-known thing, right? It's a worldwide phenomenon, but he also has the nostalgia factor. Indiana Jones is something like that. It's not possibly I would say it's worldwide, but it's just diminished because the older crowd knows them more than the younger crowd. However, the nostalgia factor is there. So a lot of these people you're seeing are saying, hey, this is making me want to go over there and get that. These are people who grew up on this stuff too. Now, the trouble is getting the younger crowd to get on this boat too, right? But that shows also two things for me. The nostalgia factor, which Xbox desperately needs to start gaining an audience like Nintendo does for their games. And two, why the importance of exclusivity matters.
Yes, 1,000%. Absolutely.
Yeah, because this is one of those things that bring people to you right here. This right here. So you have it everywhere. You've lost that special thing. This right here does that. So I think this is just another cap in the feather of exclusivity. Just sorry to interrupt.
No, it's a great point. And again, it's what will bring people to your platform. And again, you start stacking the deck, and there's going to be like, well, I'm here for this, but whoa, look at that. Look at this. I get all of this for $17 a month. I'm in. And they stay because they keep getting exclusives like Avowed, like Indiana Jones, like Hellblade, like Hi-Fi Rush. You know what I'm saying? It's just they keep going and going and going. And that is the power of exclusivity. Folks, real quick, before we get to the super chats and we move on to Avowed, I want to say a big thank you to the community who has helped me and the Volare Gaming Pillow Company succeed. Obviously, this is a small show. We have teamed up with the Volare Pillow Company. I use it myself as well because I have back issues from a really, really difficult surgery that I had on my spinal cord. And it does help more than you could possibly know. And I was gifted a Volare Gaming pillow from King David of the Iron Lords. And it's the one that I use when I game. And obviously, after using the pillow and then having Volare reach out to me personally saying that they wanted to work with the channel, again, this is still a very small channel. They're a small mom and pop company out of Dubai. I was like, yeah, sure, let's do this. And we have been doing really well as a partnership. And so much so that I and Mrs. Boom reached out to Sean Labrie, who created this amazing commercial, has just reworked the music. And I'm going to play it for you now. It's about 34 seconds long. To give you the heads up, it is, of course, an advertisement for the Valari Gaming Pillow. And that is a really big deal for this very small channel. If you are interested, you definitely got to go to their website, which is, of course, available in the show notes. If you use the code DBG15 at checkout, you'll get, say, 15% off your entire order. And folks, check it out. And there you go, folks. That's the commercial. That's the reworked music.
That just gave me Doom Eternal vibes.
Yeah, it's kind of Doom Eternal-ish, right? So big thank you to Valari Gaming Pillow for teaming up with Double Barrel Gaming. Big shout out to Sean Labrie, one of the best artists in the business that helped that created that commercial, and of course reworked the music, which is amazing. And again, folks, if you are interested to check it out, go to the Valari Pillow Company. Check them out online. Obviously, the link is in the show notes, and use the code DBG15 at checkout. And of course, you'll save 15% off of your entire order. Let's catch up on the super chats before we start talking about. We have the legendary Yobi, very good friend, great friend of this community. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says the EULA contract agreement in 99% of games that we agree to and we don't ever read, and that's true, that agreement tells us that we are granted the rights to use, not of ownership of the games. And that's, of course, what he's talking about when it comes to digital. Fantas Archer drops a very generous $2 super chat and has something slanderous to say. He says, perhaps Senua should be talking or taking baby steps, which of course is that walking simulator for the PlayStation 5 that looks ridiculous. But of course, that's a great slander take. Fantasy Arch, thank you for the generosity. Chris R drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I understand the concern about physical. Xbox has a good record, but I can easily see Sony or Nintendo telling us we don't own something anymore. I mean, it's a fact. That's a good point. And shout out to Whole Grain Bread because he corrected me. I keep saying director. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. So thank you for the shout out, Whole Grain Bread. He says, sorry, Boom, I need to clear something up. Todd Howard is the executive producer, not the director of Indiana Jones. I love the way the game looked. Yeah, and thank you for the correction. I don't know why I keep saying director. It is executive producer. But of course, him having his hands on it, he's talked about it. Yeah, that's a passionate man right there. I mean, you've seen him interviewed in his home, and he has all of the actual movie props. You know, he spent a lot of money on that. He's a big old nerd, just like all of us. Let's see. Jay Slay drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, hey, Boom, people are misinterpreting Satya's use of the word consoles. He said Xbox, the consoles meaning Series X and S, not PlayStation. Great show. And you know something else they're taking out of context with that interview? They were specifically asking him about ABK. They forget to mention that ABK is a third-party publisher that Microsoft now owns. In turn, Microsoft is going to third-party publish some games, i.e. Call of Duty. But thank you, Jay Slay. Super appreciate the generosity and, of course, the clarification. Sat Nist drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, seeing if this message goes through. Yes, it went through, brother. It certainly did. Thank you for the generosity. Black Sausage drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, have you seen the crazy launch of Pal World. Let's see, 320,000 concurrent on Steam right now. Xbox got a killer exclusive. It
Jeez.
seems. Go Bills. Yeah, he's a Bills fan. I'm a Steelers fan. My Steelers didn't even show
I'm
up.
a Chiefs fan. Let's go, buddy.
I have to go with the Chiefs. I'm sorry. I'm going Chiefs versus Bills because now I have to see the Bills lose for beating the balls off the Steelers last week. They didn't even show up. It was embarrassing.
The Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears. Yep. There you go.
Maybe in 10 years. We'll see.
Hey, man.
Shout out.
85. It can happen again.
They did. Shout out to Masshole1977, who's been a channel member, folks, for 35 months. Wow, dude. Thank you for the generosity and crazy support. He says Raiders of the Lost Ark was the first movie I ever saw in the theater at the age of 4. This game looks fantastic. Dude, that is dope. What a great story. James Gibson drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, GameSpot really side-by-side Skyrim and Avowed. Did they do that? I didn't even see that, dude. I was cleaning all morning. They did that. That just, the reaching is just nauseating. Doesn't that get you just sick that they just cannot give the credit where credit is due? It's just sickening. Black Ronin 357 drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, if Harrison Ford gave his consent for AI to reconstruct his voice when he was younger, what's the problem? If Troy doing the imitation, that's cool too. Yeah, I don't think it'd be an issue. I don't know. The AI thing is it's a little spooky because we are on the cusp of some really big changes coming to Hollywood. And the last thing we want to see is, like, you don't want to sell the rights to use your voice for a cheap amount, and they go and they make $50 million on your voice, and they paid you $100,000. I think there's going to be we're going to be walking a fine line. Like I said, it's new tech, so we'll see where it goes. We have Jonas the Dad, who's been a channel member for 3 months. Jonas, good morning, kind sir. Thank you for the support. He says daughter is playing Pal World now. Looks really fun. Xbox is looking tough. We aren't even all in on the ABK stuff yet. Future is bright. Hit that like button, brother. Thank you so much for that. And yes, I'm playing it. Like I said, I am a huge fan of Animal Crossing. As you know, Mrs. Boom and I play every day, and it has very Animal Cross-esque kind of feelings to it. So I'm definitely going to play and see if I can catch them all, if you so to speak. But it looks really good. And you can design your own character and everything with the voice and the build and the hair and the face and the eyes. It's very RPG-esque. We have Rockets. Synth. It's 5YNT5T. I'm old, folks. I'm sorry, Rocket brother. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. He says Terminator murked Seabiscuit yesterday. I'm not even sure what that means, brother. It went over my mohawk. I apologize. Pat F, who's been a channel member for 5 months, says this collector's edition with Indies Whip. Yes, please. Oh my God, freaking absolutely yes. Pat F. I did the hat, the whip, the golden statue. I don't care what it is. Give me something, but the whip would be dope. That would be super dope, Pat F. Thank you for the support. Okay, guys, gals, let's talk Avowed here. Look, I'm gonna go back. You know what? I'll start with Crispy Bomb. Look, the comparison to Skyrim to Avowed is, like I said, it's nauseating. I don't understand why we are expecting Obsidian to make a Bethesda game and Bethesda to make an Obsidian. Why do we ask that of these studios? Let these people make what they are good at making. Obsidian is good at making games, and I'm sorry to tell you, go watch that trailer again in 4K on your OLED. That's the game. It looks mind-blowing great. And I've never been a Pillars of Eternity guy. I don't like those games. Those are CRPGs. I don't play those. If you give me an interplay level of like a Baldur's Gate, like the first 2 that was interplay, not the PC ones, I'm good. Mrs. Boom and I over the summer beat both of them on every difficult level. It was amazing. We had a great time. I don't play those Pillars of Eternity games. I don't have any reason to because it's not my kind of genre. But this world looks dope. What were your takeaways from Avowed, Crispy?
I mean, it's going to be Obsidian at its finest. And the one thing I want to criticize some people. Did you look at what they released before? Did you see there was a lot of hate. Ain't that hate no more? Because they are polishing the game. That's why you don't have, it's coming out this year, but you don't have an exact release date. It's when they're ready.
Yes.
Because Obsidian will go and say, okay, Phil, we're ready. You know what I mean? And then they will release something even better than what we saw. And the one thing that just gave me like some old school vibes, which I'm gonna be honest with you, we're talking about single player games here. I mean, for the most part, you know what I mean? Like, Oxide, yeah, that's technically, you could play with other people. Most of these games are single player, and I usually am not excited about single player. Am I not? Like I've trashed single player for years, but I'm also not a first person fan. And the one thing is when you bring out that quick loadout, and then it's almost like you're playing like a shooting game, but then you have like bow and arrow and wands and just sword and shield. And I'm like, well, I know they're going to go like in depth. Like you're going to customize your sword and shield. You're going to customize all the, like, that's Obsidian. Like, I'm sorry. I played the absolute crap out of New Vegas. They literally made your bullets mean something. I'm just saying. So they have the pedigree to do something great. But they also proved to me that what they showed a year and something earlier, that they already know how to fix everything that everybody critiqued. And you're going to probably see more maybe at the showcase in June. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you right now, when they release this game, it's going to be Outer Worlds, Skyrim, Fallouts, all in one. They have already seen the vision of what they're doing. And it also gives me, I mean, how many games have dual wielding aspects to it? How many? There's not a lot. I mean, you can bring up Bulletstorm. You can bring up, certain games that have dual wielding aspects. And then on top of that, the magic was interesting. Now, I know people will say the AI was blah, blah, blah. Is that the beginning of the game? Because if you're trying to get your foothold in the game, that might be what they showed. Okay? But the first thing I saw is I said, oh, I'm going to be a PlayStation gamer and say, oh, the water looks amazing. You know what I mean? Like they are trolling you, some of you PlayStation gamers, because that's what Obsidian does. They're just like in Exile. They don't care. They will make what they want to make. And I'll tell you, I didn't beat Outer Worlds, but I did enjoy every aspect that I played. And I feel like they are trying to make, and I love Melee. Melee is my jam. I mean, that makes me, and they are going all out, like, or you could do dual wield wands. And I'm dope, sure, like anybody that's a Hogwarts fan is probably like, yes, please. And then all of a sudden you got, little musket pistols. You know what I mean? Like they are going all out. And that's where I think people like the enthusiasm for this game. I mean, I saw like, I don't know what PlayStation site was like, we need this. And I agree, because I'm not a first person fan, but also when I don't have to compete with anyone, it makes me feel different about first person. And that's where I go and say, like, this year, sorry, PlayStation fans, more single player over here and no remasters as well. So deal with it. Buy an Xbox. It don't matter. It's still coming out in the Series S. You want to play the minimum possible entry? It's not that hard. It's like $200 to $300 maximum.
On a good sale, on a good Amazon sale, you could find it for $199, dude.
Well, freaking what was it? Costco or whatever was paying, you know, $149. Like,
ridiculous.
I told everybody, and that's where I'm going to say, like, dude, like, it's not all of what you want, but I mean, do you want to play the same thing over and over again? I don't.
No.
I'm sorry. Like, yes, I am a third person guy. I am a gearhead. I love Gears. But if it's just Gears that's third person, I don't care. I mean, I know what I want from Gears, but what I want from these games, like, we already knew Avowed was first person. We already knew that. Like, yes, you could say Indy, we had questions. Absolutely. I think that was trolling on purpose.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they brought out a third person element as well. They brought set piece logic. It is a movie title that has become a game again. Yes, we've had indie games before. It is not what we're talking about right now. So I go and say Avowed, Pillars is not the same as what we're seeing right now. You know what I'm saying? But it's in the universe. And I go and say, go for it. Having dual wielding stuff, having quick changing of things, like you can have multiple characters. I saw all of that. You know, like the AI, like you could say it's dumb, but also like if you have 12 different AIs that have different thought processes and you're trying to neutralize them, that's what they were trying to tell you. And I believe that Obsidian of all, developers is going to make this something truly special, and that's why we don't know exactly when it's coming out.
Yeah, no, listen. Well, it's this year. It's later this year, and I can't wait for it. Web Dave, let's get your hot take on it, man. What are your thoughts on Avowed? Is that something that's like in your up your alley?
Yeah, man. I'm definitely gonna play it. It looks really good. I like the I like the choices, and the choices have consequences and everything. The way the way it was set up, it looks good. I mean, it's not out yet, so they still got time for it to cook, and to make more changes and turn up the graphic quality if they need to. I mean, it just I don't know what people expect. It looks like a really fun game, and I'm excited to play it. I do like the dual wielding aspect of it, and that you can, I think they went to the magic. They have the wand and before they had the hand, in the original one. But who knows? And there may be some, effects or spells that you just use your hand on and stuff. So it looks really good. It's very promising. They talk about the depth of it, and man, another RPG. Let's go, man. I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm really excited for it. So yeah.
Yep. Day one of Game Pass, Obsidian, masters of the RPG element. Obviously, and again, to Crispy's point, Outer Worlds was phenomenal. I cannot wait for Outer Worlds 2. But this is next for them, and it looks phenomenal. Like I said, if you have any doubt, please, I implore you to go check it out. Watch it on YouTube in 4K. Watch it on your OLED, and you're gonna see you're gonna be incredibly impressed. In the Infinite. Umbra, let's get your hot take on this. Splendiferous says this after dropping a very generous $2 super chat. Obsidian has been kicking tail since they got here, and I absolutely agree. They have not missed. They have brought us Grounded. They have brought us the Outer Worlds. They're going to bring us Outer Worlds 2. Some people are speculating that they're working with Bethesda on a potential return to Fallout. That's been a rumor for a while. They have this coming out. They don't seem to miss. This looks phenomenal. What are your thoughts on Avowed?
So Avowed going into this is already it's my second. How do I put this? It was the second most hype I was for the show.
Okay.
Indy took the cake for me.
Yes.
Avowed. Some people were hating on Avowed. Not hating. That's not the right word to use. Some people weren't as excited for Avowed as I felt they should have been when they first showed it. I think even now it's more impressive than when they first showed it, I would say. But there are some things I wasn't feeling, right? Or
talk about
at
it.
least one specific thing. What happened to the hand magic that we were promised and shown? He was using wands and like he was, one of the Hogwarts boys in there. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
and he had
fair.
a double
Fair
wand at one point. I'm like, oh, you got the double wand going. Okay. Like, that's cool, but I still want, I want the abracadabra fingers. Where those at?
Hey, this is a family show here.
Where my spirit fingers at? I want, where's my magical Houdini hands? I don't, that's all I'm saying. So yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's definitely a fair question, though. I mean, all jokes aside, it is a fair question because obviously the revealed trailer did show a whole hand magic kind of a situation that you got like in other games, and that's what we thought. Did they change that? We don't know. Someone's got to ask that question. That's a great question.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I saw, like some people saying it's still there. Yeah, but it was very minimal. It was like he would do like one little gesture and then that would be it. Before, remember, guys, it was like they were doing a whole bunch of kamehameha like hand wave and motions to do what they were doing before. Now it seems to be replaced by the wand. And I'm gonna go look at it again, but that's what I saw. It was mostly the wand and then the sword and things of that nature. So, and a double wand at that. So he was double fisting it. I'm sorry. Anyway,
my goodness, giant pause there. Holy matrimony. PG-13, damn it.
But that's about the only thing. That, and I would say they have to get the mouth sync right. The mouth sync was a little off, but what did impress me was the faces and design of the characters. It looked really, really solid.
Yeah.
Like the textures of the face and the material of the clothing. It looked slightly, how do I put this? Slightly less shiny. And I guess slightly less impressive than BG3. You all have seen Baldur's Gates, their models for 3.
Yeah.
Really, really high-end, impressive visuals and textures and things like that put into those, and polygon counts, I'm sure, put into those characters. They did a lot of that here. Yeah, exactly, saying bow chicka wow wow. So absolutely, they put a lot into the character design and polygon work into those characters. So I really did like that. I did notice the tired, used up Killmonger hairstyle up in there. I'm like, man, this hairstyle has been.
Actually, who was it that said something on Twitter about that? There was somebody. It was I gotta look, man. Somebody had actually said something on Twitter. Can we move away from the Killmonger hairstyle?
Yeah.
And they showed like Miles Morales. They showed Avowed. There was someone else that they showed, and I'm like. Yeah, I could see why people are kind of just maybe tired of that hairstyle.
It's overused. It's overused for sure. Like, I mean, now Eddie Gordo has it going. I'm like, come on now. Now Eddie got it too, huh? All right. They put the little frost tips in his to make it spicy, I guess. But yeah, just stuff like that.
There you go. Shout out to James Morrison. He said it was Delilah HD. Yes.
Oh, okay,
that's exactly who it was. We love Delilah HD. She's phenomenal. And she said, put that tweet out this morning. I saw it. I'm like, she's onto something. She's actually has a great freaking point. And now you bring it up. So obviously there are people talking about it. So there you go.
Yep. Yeah. And exactly like Shine Film says, and I'm loving the game, of course, but Prince of Persia, he has it too.
She actually had it. She had that picture in there as well. That was the other
Sargon.
One. Yeah.
Yeah. Sargon has it. Exactly. Like, again, it looks dope. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, it's oversaturated now. It's like, come on, y'all. You all can do a bit more than that. But that aside, that's just that's nothing really. But
hey, listen, no, dude, we appreciate the criticism. It's honesty, right?
Oh no,
it's not a perfect game.
I wouldn't even call it a necessarily criticism, just something I noticed. But as far as the mouth sync, that's a criticism they have to get together.
Absolutely. The mouth sync, it did seem off, didn't it?
It was a little off.
It did seem off a little bit. Yeah, listen, again, the game's not coming out tomorrow.
Exactly. They have time, so I'm not worried.
They have time to fix it. And again, we don't know why that happened, but listen, again, folks, if you have criticism to anything that you were shown, get out there on the socials and be politically correct about it. Don't be an a-hole. Mm-hmm. Don't try to bully your way into getting your point across. Tell the developers, because perfect example is the Aura developers. Look what they said. They said, we know we got the one guy that was screaming at us for the Cougars that just ate them up. Like we had to fix that, right? So they listen.
Some older ladies in there that's going crazy on young men. I know that. I might have to play Aura now. It was wrong, Fuzzy. What are you laughing about?
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
well, we got to go for the Pumas though.
There you go. There
I'll
you
leave
go.
that to you. I'm gonna leave that to you. I want the Cougars.
Is that
But no.
still a shoe?
Yes.
But no, giving back though, like my nitpicks are very small, and I said, it was just the hand gestures that seem to have kind of gone the way of the dodo. I hope that's not the case. I hope that because that was what really excited me. I think many of us, when we first saw this unveiled and announced, we saw the hand gestures, like, oh man, it's like, oh, you're gonna be doing like magic spells off the hand and everything like that. And like, how would these combinations work? Would we be like moving the right stick and the left stick to create whatever? That's what I was thinking.
Kind of like what you did in Ghostwire Tokyo.
Exactly. That's a perfect example.
Magic.
Exactly.
That's what I envisioned.
That's a perfect example. Or I'll throw one.
Ask that question. Maybe, I think we should reach out. Oh, I mean, if you're concerned, I'm not concerned, but I see your point. I personally, I get the wand thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather do the hand magic. Personally, I think that'd be a better visual aspect of telling what they're doing.
Exactly.
And that's a really good question. Hopefully someone will ask, and at least someone at Obsidian will respond.
I'm gonna make it my thing to ask them.
You should. You absolutely should reach out to Obsidian. Their developers are phenomenal.
They are. Much love to Obsidian. The workhorse of Xbox right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But on the sign thing, another one I'll throw back, or a throwback, 360 days. Naruto.
Oh shoot, yeah,
they did it on there as well. Where you have to do the hand signs with the sticks. So that's another one. So that's what my thinking was going to be, and it did look a bit darker when they first announced it. So I can see some people. I know some people are like, oh, it's too colorful. That doesn't bother me because it looked like a nice, colorful Skyrim. I'm all for that. Obsidian is spectacular when it comes to these. What they did and I'm going to go to the positives now. So for me, what I did, like you see a lot of they show the customizable loadout so you can swap through different setups, and it's speed swapping too. So it's not like some slow thing that you would do. And the spell casting is quick, sharpshooting and things of that nature. What I did like too is that something that, and this is the thing I held against Starfield just a bit, and I don't know if you remember me saying this, it was that the choices you make in there, ultimately you didn't really change anything, right? Because it was kind of a set path in some ways outside of the Unity. I'm not going to go too far, but you get what I'm saying. You didn't make a choice on something. It was like, oh, this really reverberated and changed this. Here it's showing that, much in the line, I guess, to like something like Mass Effect, where you actually make a choice that really reverberates in that universe. And that's something I want Bethesda to make sure they get back to. And it seems like Obsidian is doing it here, where it's actual consequences to the choices you make. And that, to me, helps me really carry an RPG to that next level. So I'm liking that right now. What else would I say? The world looks really solid and beautiful. Like I said, I'm not. Some people were kind of against the colorful nature. Jedi Knight Peter and Risk It. I think they were kind of so on the world being so colorful because they wanted a more darker tone, like it was originally announced. But me, I'm all for it, man. I don't think everything needs to be grim dark, and I think a nice colorful world is just fine, personally. So a lot of that I saw, I liked. I liked the voice acting, for what I could tell. They just got to get the syncing right, which I'm sure they will. And my concern would be the hand spell casting. I hope that that's really there. It didn't seem like it was. It seemed like they had been replaced by the wands. And and that's it. Other than that, I hope it's a really deep-seated RPG in the sense of what you can really do in customization as far as your weaponry and things of that nature. We don't know how far it's going to go with that just yet, but yeah, I'm absolutely excited. And just one last aside, that artwork that they came up with for that, I don't know who did that, but man, higher.
Oh yes,
give them a raise.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
that artwork of the skeleton with all the different colors looks dope.
Man, spectacular. It's just like, and not even just the colors of it, it's just the styling of that is very, very unique. And it definitely, like, it looks gorgeous. Somebody put it on the cover of an Xbox cover, like a physical case, and I was just like, wow, that looks good.
Yeah, and it's
Sheesh.
very, very appealing to the eye for sure.
Yeah.
Good stuff all around. Dreadpool, let's bring you in on a conversation. As a matter of fact, Splendiferous says this after dropping an additional $2 super chat. Boom, Dread is not being nice. Please make him talk.
Okay, so we'll go with this, right? I don't know about you guys, but when they said dual wielding, I was thinking Halo, right? It was like, oh,
yeah, well,
that's
had
what I
dual
thought.
wielding,
Dual
sure.
wielding. That I went right to Halo 2 in my mind. I was like, okay, this is it. So controller Imperioso, and then it went from there to your hand moves. There you go. So, but no, you guys know I wasn't a fan of this. You guys know that when it came to what they've shown us, it was like, all right, I'm not feeling it. And for people to complain about it, it seems very odd. If it's not for you, it's not for you, right? The one prior to this got me interested. This one here, I'm still interested, right? So I've it's just like Starfield. It just did not feel for me. And then eventually it's like, bam, something clicked for me. This is it. This is one of those things. It finally clicked for me. I'm interested. To complain about colors, really? Because you thought it was going to be a darker thing. Did you want it to be pitch dark the whole time? Is that what you guys wanted? I mean, or do you want some variety? You want, and this goes again back to the devs being able to do what they want, right? It's not about what you want. It's about what they want. Let them build what they want to build. And if colors are there, colors are there. Can we not have different terrains? Can we not have different places to do a different experience? Or do we want to go back to that same old hashtag thing of what did I say earlier today? Oh, let's go find that leg. Go find that leg for me. Is that what we want again? We just want it darker now. Just let's move on from this stuff. Let's let them create what they want to create. Let's let them be the artists of their own game, and whatever comes out, and that's kind of the way I look at it and how it should be. It should be, hey, I'm excited for this because of this other thing. Hey, you know what? It's not doing it for me. So I'm just going to move on. I'm not going to have anything to say, right? What was that whole saying? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Yep.
Right. So that's fine. I've always said it's not for me, but I'm happy that my friends are enjoying it because they're excited for this game. They're excited for the potential of this game. Right. And that's the way it should be. But now I'm on the other side of the fence. Now I'm interested on it. I'm willing to try it out and play and see if it sucks me into playing the game more than just, hey, I'm going to try it out and be done with it and move on. Just say I tried it, but at least I'll have an idea of what I'm talking about. Right? Others are just basically talking out their ass when they're talking about this stuff, and we don't know how it plays, but yet you're going to critique it about certain things. I know, we are critiquing certain things that they've shown us, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're going beyond that because you just don't like the game, there's a difference between critiquing because you're interested and you want to see better. You want to, you want them to do better. You want better. There's a certain finesse on doing that versus, oh, this is that comparison to something else. This is not somebody else's game. This is their game. Let them do their game the way that they do. They have their style, and let them present their style. When the game comes out, you will either like it or not. Move on. If you like it, hype it up, promote it because it's something that you like, which means it's something good. If it's something that you don't like, just say it's not for me, and I don't know yet.
Points, man.
Yeah, I don't know yet if it's going to be for me or not, but I am interested. And no matter if we have hand gestures and magic flying around or
dual wanding,
the dual wands, you know what I mean? But at least they gave us a variety of things that most other game developers don't do.
Yep.
So when it comes to all this, let them do what they want, and we'll see. And 2024, I mean, wow, Xbox is looking good in the future. I don't know about 2023 because I don't know what happened there. Starfield, nothing. None of that stuff happened. Nothing. Nothing to see there.
Exactly.
Nothing. 2024 looks promising.
Yeah. No, and good
But
stuff, man.
we'll see.
Well, yeah, with a side eye. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
listen, I at least we have a roadmap. I'll say that. Fuzzy, let's bring you in. But before I do, Reggie Mobile 9 drops an outstanding $20 super chat and says, "Great show, everyone. Y'all cooking. Having played the Pillars games, I am really excited for Avowed. It has a lot of larger and more interesting monsters than was shown. And if it's like the others, Gods too. Oh, that's going to be dope. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this game. I'm a big fan of Obsidian. But Fuzzy, before we get to outros and we get everyone out of here, let's get your take on it. What were your takeaways from Avowed? Did it hit for you?
Yeah, it's one of those games where I was interested from the initial trailer, and that initial excitement hasn't died since. Now it does have a slightly less dark look to it, but that's fine. The big thing for me, and Infinite Umber kind of hinted on this as well. Like the first thing that comes to mind to me is like this is slightly less shiny version of like Baldur's Gate 3, but it's going to be live action from a first person perspective. So for those that aren't really into the turn-based aspect, this is a pretty in-depth world, although maybe not as big of an experience in comparison. But overall, I like the fact that you have the mix of magic and weapons, or you can have a variety of different weapon combinations together. Now, kind of also like what Infinite Umber made mention of, there is the hand gestures as far as for some of the magic. It looks like you can, go like this to raise like roots to kind of slow the enemies down and stuff like that, or point downward and it's like a little purple circle, which I know from the initial trailer we saw like you like punched your hole through like a circle and it like then your hand was kind of glowing purple or whatever. So it'd be cool to see if that's how you, I guess, activate or learn some of the magic, and then from there it's just more like Ghostwire Tokyo. From that point that would be fine. But overall the environments, like some people aren't into, I guess, the variety of color. Like I guess the biggest thing is while their Pillars of Eternity world is more of a darker world, more so like kind of like Diablo, but not Diablo type of deal, but it is more of a darker tone. But having some of those bright pops of color, I can only imagine what it's going to look like. Like even just watching the video, having an OLED with HDR, it breaks things up. Like I don't want to just have, like when they showed like the volcanic area, I don't want it just to be dark and ashy and
Right.
charcoaly looking. Having like a hint of purple as far as like some of the underbrush and things like that was kind of cool. So I just noticed the biggest thing that I noticed was the environments. Those are the biggest things that stood out as far as the level of detail and the variety of biomes and things like that. So that's the main thing that stands out. The variety of combat choices stands out. And also the fact that your choices are going to affect one way or another, how depending on how you play, what the townspeople might think of you, or the people that you interact later on in the world are going to think, well, this guy just murders everybody he sees, kind of thing. And how that might play out as far as your story. And then you had similar type things in the Outer Worlds. Like you could kill off certain people if you wanted to, and it might kind of break some things. But like the overall approach that Obsidian takes to their RPGs, I like how they plan things out. And while this may not be a full-on Skyrim experience where it's 800 hours worth of content, but I don't necessarily want that to be that. Like if we're already going to get Elder Scrolls 6 down the road, why do we need something that's a carbon copy of that? So I'd rather have variety, and this is a different enough look and different enough features in it that I like, and it has a mixture of things that we've seen in game of the year, Baldur's Gate 3, as far as some of the character design, albeit it may not be as shiny or highlighted in comparison. But overall, I love the level of detail with the scales of like the character skin and things like that. So and the level of detail of the wares that they're wearing, the armor or the clothing and stuff like that. So that's what pretty much matters. That and the storytelling itself. And if Pillars of Eternity, like the 1 and 2 that they've made so far, are any indication of how deep of a storyline this is going to be, but now we get to experience it from a first person's perspective, I'm all for it. So I get people's criticisms. By all means, criticize if you like. If it isn't for you, like Dredd said, it isn't for you. But I'm looking forward to this. Although I will admit I'm looking more forward to Hellblade 2, but it's not like this isn't something I'm definitely going to. This is something I'm going to wind up definitely playing day one when it's available on Game Pass. So looking forward to it. This might actually be one that I actually do purchase as well. Hellblade, I'm definitely purchasing. Digital copy, yes, I know I have a subscription, blah, blah, blah. But Avowed is more than likely going to be one of those as well, though I make the actual purchase. So we'll see when it comes out. I guess, what did they say, spring or something like that? I think it was.
Yeah, I think later 2024. Yeah.
Yeah,
No specific date or anything. The only date we got was Hellblade, and that's fine. It's coming out this year, folks. So
yeah,
good on us for gamers. Folks, that's going to do it for us today on Breakfast with Boom. Thank you so much for tuning in. We had over 800 people here, which is amazing. A big thank you to all of the super chats that came in, as well as all of the continued support through channel membership. We are incredibly humbled and grateful for that kind of support. Let's get everyone out of here. Dave, we'll start first with you, brother. Sell your brand. What do you got going on this Sunday? What you did, you said you were interviewed today, and people want to check that out. And more importantly, where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel? And more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. Appreciate it. What an amazing panel today, too. You guys are all awesome. So it was great being here with you guys. Yeah, so put the link in the chat for the YouTube channel, and if you guys want to join me there, and under X or Twitter, however you want to call it, it is WebDave, easy to find there. And then so I did an interview last night with Shades of Purple. It's pretty awesome, and that was a really fun interview there. And then we have a big show on Sunday where we're going to break down the whole direct and everything, and we have a very special guest. We have Colt Eastwood will be on Sunday's show. So
nice.
Gonna be pretty awesome and pretty exciting, and everybody needs to come hang out with us and talk smack and but like Colt says, be nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, Boom. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for joining us, brother. Super appreciate that. Infinite Umbra, you're going to be somewhere this evening with your crew over at the Infinite. Well, it used to be called the Xbox Infinite Podcast. Now it's just the Infinite Podcast, right? I believe that's what they're changing it to.
Yes, the Infinite.
The Infinite Podcast. So listen, talk about that. Where could people not only check you out this evening to hear more thoughts, and of course from Risk It in the group, where could people check out the Fix weekly with you and Danny, and more importantly, reach out to you on social media?
I've roasted them. That was my Sean Connery, by the way. I felt it had to happen since Boom didn't want to grace us with it, No, but thanks for bringing me on, brother. I had to ask Boom earlier. I'm like, hey, brother, you mind, if you got a spot open, can a brother join in? Because I overslept again and missed the show, staying up so late because I worked.
That happens, brother.
I stayed up and watched the show, and then it cost me. But hey, so apologies to the guests that were coming through and to my co-host, but we're trying to set up something now to kind of make up for that, me and Danny. So we'll see what we can do. Might try to get a big name or something to draw some people in. So chat family, if you do rock with me, check me out on Twitter, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way, and look for me when I post an update to that what I just spoke about, so you can see if I'm trying to go live or post something within this week before next Thursday at least. And if not, if I can't get it going, hey, it is what it is. We'll just see you next Thursday. But yeah, check us out tonight as well at 7:00 Eastern. Yeah, 7:00 Eastern now for the Infinite Podcast, and we have Special Nick coming through, the good guesser as he calls himself now. So it's going to be a good discussion because I'm going to try to squeeze out information from him on games and information he knows. You saw what I did when Mad came through. So I'm trying, I'm trying to get my insider bag going. I'm joking. But come through, come through and show us love, and hope to see you guys there tonight. thank you guys for having me. And as always, it's good to be amongst good people. And shout out to the chat as well.
We certainly appreciate you stopping by, brother. Thank you so much for that. Dreadpool, let's get you on out of here, brother. Talk about your Breaking Bread with Dread. Obviously, you can find him on multiple places, linktree.com/Dreadpool, youtube.com/Dreadpool, Twitter @ X @Dreadpool, TikTok @Dreadpool, hover.gg @Dreadpool. You can find him on Gaming Beyond the Box at 7 p.m. On Sunday evenings, and of course back here on Friday mornings on Breakfast at Boom. But you need to go and check out his Breaking Bread with Dread. It's a very unique way of actually doing podcasting. He interviews people while they're breaking bread. It's very interesting. Dread, sell it, man. Where can people subscribe, and more importantly, reach out to you on social media?
Yes, everything's on YouTube and the other supporting channels. Just Dreadpool. It's at Dreadpool if you're looking for it, because for some reason YouTube now is putting up everything Deadpool instead of Dreadpool. I don't know why, but at Dreadpool, and you'll find it. But again, I appreciate everybody stopping in, all 800 plus of you guys, to check out what we have to say. Thanks to Infinite Umbra for coming in. And here's one more hand gesture for you. So I know I got more mess to pick up again. But anyway, again, it's always great to hang out with you guys in the panel. Just love being here, and I don't know what else to say. Oh yeah, good morning.
I mean, again, we love having you, brother. You always bring you always bring a great perspective to gaming, and obviously, you have a unique way of putting yourself out there. Of course, using what you've seen in real life with the business into the gaming business, and I think that's what people like. They appreciate it because you do break it down in a very digestible way.
Yeah, so thank you again. But yeah, we got stuff planned for this year. There's a lot more stuff, so definitely check us out, and I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for being a part of today's show. Super appreciate that. Fuzzy Belvedere, let's get you on out of here, man. Tell everyone where they could check your channel out. You are on the hunt to get to 500 subscribers on YouTube. Folks, he's one of the best places in the business to cover anything and everything in the racing genre. Sell the brand, Fuzzy. Tell people where they can subscribe, and more importantly, follow you on social media.
As always, thank you for having me on. It was awesome being on here with you guys. Love everybody in the chat. Thank you for checking us out. Don't forget, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Greatly appreciate you taking the time to check us out and everything. For those who want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, you can follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on YouTube. Just do a search for Fuzzy Belvedere, all one word, and that's BELVEDERE. In case if you were wondering how to spell Belvedere, not quite like the liqueur, but greatly appreciate everybody checking out my channel, and just in general all the support from the community. Always appreciate it. It means the world to me. But thanks again. Thanks everyone, and have a good weekend. And you can also find me later on tonight, Xbox Ultimate on 10 p.m. on Fun Speculations channel, and then tomorrow on the Shop Podcast, Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel, and then right back here 12 noon for Xbox Lunch Break Special right here on Double Barrel Gaming. Look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you, brother. Super appreciate that. And last, no way least, Crispy Bomb, brother. Sell your brand. Where can people check you out, and more importantly, follow you on social media?
At Chris Bomb on X, Chris Bomb 28, Xbox Live. You can find me here maybe Monday. I don't know. I have Monday off, so
interesting. Well, we're gonna have a show. We got some scandalous
Xbox
stuff.
Lunch Break Special. I probably will be there because I have nothing better to do.
Nice. Well, we look forward to it. It's always fun when you show up, man.
But in all seriousness, let's be straight here. That was a great show. It was an absolutely outstanding show. They bring us variety, which we've all said Xbox brings variety. And this year, it's single player. Deal with it. Okay? Because everybody touts everybody else with single player. How about Xbox this time? How about you give them the flowers and relax? Love y'all. We'll see you Monday.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. Obviously, real quick, some housekeeping. You're getting an extra show tomorrow. Tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are doing our, I believe it's, well, I've only been doing YouTube for 6 years. So I believe it's our 5th annual Game of the Year show. Now, we've been doing this as my wife, and who's a part of it? It's going to be my brother Neo Mental and our 2 friends that we grew up with. We do this every year. It's going to run about 90 minutes, maybe maybe a pinch under 2 hours. We do this every year. We've been doing it for over a decade. Like nerds, we meet up once a year. We go to someone's house. We have drinks. Well, I don't drink. I have a Dr. Pepper or ginger ale, but we go out there. We have dinner, and we've always discussed. And we have a list, and it's fun. We're like real nerds, but we decided a couple of years ago to bring it to podcast form. So our good friends Jay the Destroyer, Neo Mental, of course, who is my brother, and Jay the Retro Gamer are going to sit down and we're going to discuss our Game of the Year 2023. Again, that's going to be tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You don't see it up because I'm actually doing the artwork now for the show. I'll start advertising later this afternoon. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Stop by, hang out, hear what we have to say. Maybe we'll have a story or 3 to talk about when we were younger in our Funko Land days. That was always fun. But of course, again, tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you're getting an extra show, and it's going to be our annual Game of the Year 2023 showcase. And we should have a lot of fun with that. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.